So here I'm cutting off the last knot, and it does have the desired effect, what I was imagining. And with a little bit of leftover paint from the cord, I'm just going to use it up and quickly throw a layer of paint on the cap. Now I'm moving on to making the major decorative elements on the bottle. I've made another mixture of PVA glue and water, and I'm sketching out just very roughly on the bottle where I want everything to go. But this won't stay exactly like my sketch. It's just a good thing to give me a guide of what would be going where. As you can see, I'm using the same tissue paper that I used for the base layer, dipping it into the glue and water mixture, saturating it, and making little balls to form the grapes in a bunch. And I'm doing it with my hand. Of course, I could use tools, but I find that my fingers are the best tools that I could have. I've cut more tissue squares, roughly about the same size, so that the grapes aren't so disproportionate in size, some being too big and too small. And here I am creating just another bunch of grapes, and then a third one. This was actually quite a lengthy process. Of course, I sped it up quite a lot. And now I'm rolling the same tissue paper into little snakes that I'm going to use as vines. Of course, at this point I don't know how many I will need, and I'm using just clean water and a touch of the glue mixture to make the tissue snakes. And I actually am embracing the spiral pattern that rolling them makes, because vines actually do have this kind of spirally texture on them. Here I am working with my fingers according to my sketch on the bottle, and improvising some as well. Just adding the vines, making them curly, and just having fun with it. I've left the big gaps because I am going to be adding leaves next. I had this plastic leaf, and I've just googled grapevine leaves, and just drawing some out on some mulberry paper, which is quite thick but porous and flexible when wet. And I'm going to be drawing 5 leaves. I didn't know exactly how many I needed. There I was counting the spots on the bottle. I thought 5 would fit on, but actually in the end I only had room for 4. Maybe if I made them a little bit smaller, but then again I made the grape bunches quite large, so it just felt like larger leaves would look better. And here I am cutting them out one by one. I really like this part. I love cutting out shapes with scissors. It's very relaxing, and it's just a real fun activity for me. Yeah, it looks like I'm cutting lightning fast, but actually I'm taking my time and being careful around the curves and edges and trying to follow my sketch as closely as possible. Now I got the 5 little leaves ready. I'm going to pull out those snakes of tissue paper that I made before, make them thinner, roll them back up, and use them as the veins on the leaves. So here I am just trying to see if it's going to work, applying some glue with a paintbrush, trying to be more professional and not dip my fingers in from the very beginning, but I end up working with my fingers anyway. As I said, it's my favorite tool, and I feel like I have a lot more control when it comes to things like this, especially feeling the texture with the tip of my finger. If it's smooth, it feels like, oh, it's stuck down well. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for all 5 of my little leaves, and then give them just a little bit of time to dry. Now I'm applying a generous amount of glue to the back, and I start attaching them to the bottle, applying more glue as needed, a little bit of water. I'm dipping my brush into water now and again just to soften that mulberry paper a little bit more so that it curves to the profile of the bottle. Of course, the paper wants to be straight at first. And I'm trying to work in the base of the leaf really well, and in some places I actually leave the edges not completely stuck down. I like the dimension that it gives. If the leaves look a little bit like they are coming off the bottle, I actually like that. And this is actually after 2 days of drying. The grapes took a very long time to dry as they were so thick. Like, there was a lot of moisture inside of the grapes, and it took a very, very long time. I'm just applying a base coat of paint so that I have something there, and I also knew that this color is kind of what I was imagining using for the background. Of course, I'm leaving it to dry, and once this first layer is dried, I'm using a sprayer bottle with a little bit of fluid acrylic paint inside to spray into all of those nooks and crannies, so that the dimension and the ridges from that crumpled up tissue paper show up better. So this ink, this acrylic ink type of thing, will actually when it dries, it will like slightly pull around the ridges. And now I'm using a mixture of white, yellow, and a tiny bit of black to make this sort of very light greenish color to apply over the areas that are going to stay as a background, just to lighten that a little bit. And I'm using the leftover color on a piece of lace ribbon that I'm going to be using later.